Hello, in this lesson we're going to learn how to implement the multiple view type in our Android app. Multiple view type is an advanced view of the recycler view. So before we start, let's take a look at the agenda for this lesson. The first agenda we have here is the recycler view. So here I'm going to give a reference of the previous projects which we did about recycler view. And then I'm going to talk about what is a multiple view type. And thirdly is a little bit of walkthrough, or I would say a recap of the previous project. And then we're going to create a second layout model because we are dealing with multiple view types, so we need extra layouts for that. And then I'm going to modify the previous adapter of the other recycler view, and then we'll display the data and add click listener. Okay, so now let's get started. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the recycler view. I'm not going to give you a definition of this because I already covered that in the previous lesson which I did. So this lesson will be continuing from the previous recycler view project which we did in the previous lesson. You might want to check that out. I will put the link in the description below. But if you already know your way around recycler view, or you've already watched the other video, so you can just follow along because every other process is going to be easy. You're just going to modify the recycler view adapter and that's it. So now you might ask, or you might be wondering, what exactly is this multiple view? Unlike the recycler view, which can only show a single list of items in grid or in linear layout, multiple view type, it allows you as a developer or to show more than one view in a recycler view. So let's just imagine you want to display a footer and a header. You also want to display the items in between the footer and the header in your recycler view. Using the basic recycler view, you cannot achieve that. So that is where the multiple view type comes in. So with it, we are able to implement such kind of behavior, putting the header, the footer, and then just customize it the way we want. That is possible using the multiple view type. Okay, so that's all for the theory. Let's begin. Okay, so this is the project for the previous lesson. You can see I have the view model, which is just showing the items which I displayed. We also have the view adapter. We have the custom model. This just took on the layout of how we want our items to be displayed. So if you see, if I show you the output, so this was the output of the previous lesson. You can see we have, if I move over to my, let's say my main activity, you can see we have an array list and we manually populated those lists with title and subtitle. You can see I have Kotlin, awesome language, Java, awesome language, we have Dart, awesome language, we have JavaScript, awesome language. So you can see we also have the same thing here. We have the title and the subtitle. So it's taking this layout of this. See the way we defined it here. We have the title and the subtitle. Okay, and if you watch the previous video, you can recall that we also added click listener to each item on the recycler view. Okay, awesome. So what exactly we are going to be doing in this multiple view type is that I'm going to display an image. Okay, I'm going to display image wherever we have JavaScript. So here we are only having JavaScript once in this list. So if you scroll down, you can see there's no other place we are having JavaScript. So what I'm going to do, I will go back to the main activity and then just add 3 more JavaScript title. Okay, so I'm going to add another one here. JavaScript, and I'll also add another one here. Okay, so I'm not going to run this, but what I want you to know is that when we finish modifying our lay adapter, I'm going to do it in a way that this JavaScript, wherever we have JavaScript in our list. So let me use this one for instance. Here we have JavaScript. After setting up the multiple view type, wherever we have JavaScript, it's going to be replaced with an image. So wherever we have JavaScript in our list, I want to replace it with an image. Replace it with an image. You can also modify it in a way that after every 4 item, display an image. After every 4 item, display an image. But I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to replace this JavaScript text with an image view. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is to create another view custom model. You can see here we only have this view title and the subtitle. So inside my resource folder, my layout folder, I'm going to create another layout. Okay, it seems I already have the layouts. Okay, so I've already created the layout already. So what I'm going to do, we are going to display an image view here, and then I'm going to change this second one to a text view. So I want you to have a text of, okay, let me just give it a basic text. So I will say, let's say image text. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to remove this and give it a kind of text size so that it can be visible. So I'll give it 20 SP. Awesome. So now we have the image view and the subtitle. You can see this is different from this other one. You can see this one has title and subtitle without any image. Okay, so now we have the view adapter, and this is where we are going to do everything. You can see the view model is still having its title and subtitle as a constructor, so I'm going to leave that as it is. So what I want to do now, since you already have this inner class, okay, for simplicity I'm just going to remove everything. So I'll remove everything here, so we just have a basic class, and I'm also going to remove this one. Okay, so now you can see what we have. We have the context, we have the array list, which is taking the view model, which is this, is taking the view model. So now I'm going to extend the RecyclerView adapter. Okay, dot adapter, and inside I'm going to pass RecyclerView. You can see, if you notice, I'm not passing view adapter here. That is because I want to display more than one view. But assuming we want to display only a single view, I'm just going to pass view adapter, which is this name here, and then implement members. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pass RecyclerView dot view holder. Awesome. Yeah, you need to close this, and now we are having red here. That's because we need to implement the members. So if you over on it, you can see class view adapter is an abstract and does not implement abstract based class members. So I'm going to right click on this and scroll down to generate. Click on it and you will see implement members. Click on that and it should pop up. You should see a list 3 items. So make sure you select the 3 of them by pressing Ctrl and then clicking on each of them and click OK. So this is just going to bring in those members for us to modify. So I'm going to remove all these basic codes. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is inside this get item, I'm going to return the array list. So since we don't know how many data we're going to populate on the recycler view, I'm going to return the size of the array list. So I'll say array list dot size. Awesome. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is to create an inner class. Since we are displaying 2 views, I'm going to create 2 views and bind them to the view holder. So what I want to do first is I'll say inner class. So if you watch the previous video on RecyclerView, you should understand what I'm doing here. So I will say inner class. So this is going to be view holder 1. So this is going to be the first view holder that is going to display this custom model that is having the title and the subtitle. And then later I'm going to create the second one that is going to take in this one and this other one. Okay. I need to change this ID, sorry. Let me say title second. Okay, so this one have image first and title second. Awesome. So now we go back to the adapter class, and then I will pass in the item view. So this will enable us to get the ID, and then I will say RecyclerView.viewHolder. Okay, and it's taking one constructor, so I'm going to pass in this item view, which is here. So I will say item view. Awesome. And make sure you open your curly braces, and then I'm going to create a function to bind each item to the view. So I will say fun bind items 1. Okay, and then I'll pass in item, and then I'll pass in the view model, which is this one here. So I'm going to pass in this view model inside. I'm passing this because it's what we pass inside this array list. Assuming we pass in another value inside this array list, that's what I'm going to pass also. So I will say view model. Awesome. Open your curly braces, and inside here we are going to get each value, each IDs from this custom model, since is what we want to display. So the first test view ID is the view title. The second one is the view subtitle. So I want to go back to my view adapter and scroll down a little for a little bit of space. So I'm going to say title, and using the item view to access that, I'm going to say item view dot find view by ID. Okay, so since this title is a test view, I'm going to pass test view there and then get the ID. So view title. So I'm also going to do the same thing for the subtitle. You want to pass item view dot find view by ID. It's also a test view, so you put it, and we're gonna get the view subtitle. Awesome. So now I'm going to bind the values from this view model to the subtitle and the title, which we just got the values. So I will say title dot test, and I will set that to the item. So this item is actually coming from this one here, which we added. So item dot title. Okay, so I'll also do the same thing for the subtitle. Awesome. So that's all for the first view holder. So I'm going to create the second view holder. So I'm going inside that view holder, I'm going to get the ID of this image and the title here. So going back to the adapter view, I'm going to create another inner class. Okay, so this is going to take view holder 2. Awesome. So I also want to do the same thing. So I will say item view and extend RecyclerView.viewHolder. Okay, then you pass in the item view inside. Okay, so let me remove this and scroll down again, and you want to open that. I need more space. Okay, awesome. So here, okay, so here now I want to do the same thing. So I'm going to say font bind items 2. Okay, I also want to pass the item and then pass in the view model. Open this up and then get the ID. So I will say ID image equal to, so it's going to be item view dot find view by ID. Since the image is an image view, so I'll get image view, and I'll say arrow dot ID dot image first. This image first, remember, is the ID of this one, image first. So I'm going to get this one title second. So going back there, I'll also do the same thing, but this way, this one I'm going to replace it with a text view. So I will say item view dot find view by ID. So replace that with a text view, and then you get the second text. So it's going to be title second, sorry. And I also want to bind it. So since I don't have any image I want to pass, I'm just going to skip that image part. So I will say here okay, you might want to leave this for now, but I can still say, okay, item dot title dot text equal to item dot title. And so I mean, assuming you're doing for the image view, you can also bind it together also. So you can use any library, maybe you can use Picasso if you want to use image or all that, or you're getting the image from your system. So this is it. You can see I've successfully created a two view holder, but right now I've not implemented them. So what I'm going to do now, inside the view adapter, I'm going to create another member. So that one is going to be item view type. So I'm going to say get item view type, and make sure you select that. It's going to create another override function for us. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to remove this return type. So I will say if, since I want to display the item wherever we have JavaScript, so I will say if array list, so make sure you call the array list, and I can say dot get position. So this will only work for, you can also work with Kotlin, but since I'm using Kotlin, not Java, so I'm going to use the string syntax and say array list dot get position, but I'm putting it inside a square bracket. Array list dot position, then I will say dot title, since it's the title I want to get, which is JavaScript. So assuming we want to get the subtitle, which is all some language, but in this case we are using JavaScript, so I will say title dot, so I'll convert this, okay, title, and then I will say dot to lowercase, okay, dot, so I will say contains, so if it contains JavaScript, awesome. So now I want to, what do I want to do? I want to return 0. So this return 0 now is going to actually return the first item. So if it contains 0, return this. Okay, it's going to return this item. Okay, no. So I will say if the item position is not JavaScript, like if the title is not JavaScript, that's why I'm putting this exclamation mark here, is not JavaScript, return 0. So if it's not JavaScript, it's going to return the normal custom layout. But if it's JavaScript, it's going to return this image view and the title. So that's why I return 0 here. And then S, if it's not, I'm going to return 1. Okay, awesome. So that's it for the get item view type. So the next thing I want to do is inside the onCreate view holder, I'm going to, inside the onCreate view holder, I'm going to, okay, onCreate view holder, I'm going to inflate the layouts. So the first thing I want to do is to store the layout inflator inside the variable. So I will say layout inflator, and I will say layout inflator. Yep. Layout inflator dot from. So I will get the parent, which is the view group. So I will say parent dot context. Awesome. So now the next thing I want to do is the view. So I'm going to create a view also. So I will store this in a view. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to initialize it inside the if statement. So I will say if view type, So if the view type, so now we're getting this view type here, which is an integer. So if view type is equal to 0, since we're returning 0 here, so if it is equal to 0, that is if it's equal to this custom model, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to inflate this custom model here. So if it's equal to 0, I want to inflate the custom model. So using the view variable which I created, I'm going to initialize it. I will say view equal to layout inflator dot inflate. So I'm going to get the layout dot, so the layout is coming from this custom model, so it's passing custom model, and I also want to pass the parents as, and then passing force as attached to roots. Okay, awesome. So now I'm going to return view holder. Okay, so I'm going to return this, which is view holder 1, and then passing the view, since it's what we want to show. So I will say return view holder 1, and then passing the inflated view there. So if view type is not equal to 1, let's say is not equal to 0, let's say is equal to 1, I also want to inflate the second custom model. So I will say view equal to layout inflator dot inflate arrow dot layout dot custom model second, and you also want to pass parent and then force as attached to root, and also do the same thing. So I'm going to return view holder second. Okay, view holder 2, sorry. So view holder 2, that's what I'm going to return, which is for this custom model second. So I will say view holder 2, and then pass in the view inside. Awesome. Okay, so finally is, you can see the unbind view holder, we haven't done anything inside. So the same method which we did inside the get item view type, that's the same thing I'm going to be doing inside the unbind view holder. So I'm going to use the if statement here. Okay, so I will say if array list dot, okay, array list, and get the position of the array list. Okay, dot title dot to lowercase that contains, so if it does contain JavaScript, so I'm going to return the first view holder. I'm going to bind, not to return actually, bind the second view holder here, and make sure you put your if array list is not equal to JavaScript, okay, something like that, and let it just be the same as this same value which we passed inside the get item view. So here what I'm going to do now is to actually store the holder inside a variable. So I'm going to say var holder, okay, let me just give it a name, equal to let's say holder as view holder 1. Okay, awesome. So now we are casting this holder to this view holder 1, which is what we have here, view holder 1. So this will enable us to actually access this function inside here where we bind the items. So what I'm going to do inside now, I'm going to return the holder itself dot bind item 1, and it's going to take in the array list and then take in the position. Awesome, so that's it. So the second one, we are going to do the same thing. So I'm going to say var holder equal to holder as view holder 2. Okay, and then I'm going to return holder dot bind item 2, and then pass in the array list position. Awesome. So finally we have concluded this part. You can see we only modified the view adapter, nothing else. So now our project is ready to execute. Okay, awesome. Everything is nice, looking good. So you can see the view type equal to 0 is actually representing the custom model. So now let me run the application to see what we got. So I'm going to run this and bring in my emulator. Okay, so let's wait for Gradle to build the project. But while it's building, let me just give you a brief recap of what we actually did. So here we created a class of view adapter. Okay, let me start from the beginning actually. From the main activity, you can see, I'm not going to explain this part because if you watch the previous RecyclerView, you should be able to understand what actually happened here. You can see I didn't even modify anything. I just changed the text, the title, JavaScript, so that we'll be able to show that custom layout which we created. So I'm going to close this actually. So here was the custom layout we created, which is the title and the subtitle, and we have the view model as well, which is taking the title and the subtitle. Okay, so we also created a custom model second. So this is going to display wherever we have JavaScript we want to see this view. Okay, and this is just the activity main. You can see I just put the RecyclerView widget inside the relative root layout. So I'm going to close that because we didn't modify it. And so where we actually did the work is in the view adapter. I removed everything we had in the previous RecyclerView and then replaced it with a new one, but I just left this line. Okay, so this class view adapter, the context, the array list, and here I extended the RecyclerView.adapter and then pass in RecyclerView holder. So I pass the RecyclerView holder and then open my curly braces, and here I implemented each of the members. So the first member which I implemented was the onCreateView holder, and the second one was getItemViewType. The third one was getItemCount. Remember, this item view count, I actually added it manually. It wasn't implemented when I right clicked on that adapter. So here we have the view holder 1 and the view holder 2. This one are actually coming from the items we want to display. So the first view holder is actually getting the items from the custom model, and the second one is actually getting this item from the custom model second. You can even add as many view holder here, assuming you want to display a header, a footer, and some items. Okay, so what we did here first is the getItemCount, similar to what we did on the RecyclerView. So I returned the array list dot size, and I also come down here the unbind view holder. No, the second thing I did was to create a getItemType, and then I say if the array list does not contain JavaScript. If the array list contains JavaScript, we want to return 0. But if it contains JavaScript, we want to return 1. I don't know if you get me. I mean, if the JavaScript array list dot position dot text dot to lowercase, if it contains JavaScript, then return 1. But if it doesn't, return 0. And that's what we actually did here also inside the unbind view holder. So we did the same thing. If array list dot position dot title dot this blah blah blah, so we binded the first view holder 1, and S we binded the second view holder 2. And then inside the onCreateView holder, I actually did the same thing. If view type is equal to 0, I inflated the first layout, which is the custom model. S, then I inflated the second layout. So our project is up and running. Let's see what we got. Okay, so we have the items. You can see once I scroll down. Okay, what is wrong? Yeah, this space is not supposed to be. Okay, that's because, let's see what we did in the custom layout. Width. Okay, that's because the root layout of the linear layout is having a height of match parent. So I'm going to change that to wrap content. Okay, so now our app is up and running. So you can see here, wherever we have JavaScript initially has been replaced with the image view. And here we have JavaScript also, it has been replaced. If you look where, you're not going to see anywhere written JavaScript because that image view has replaced it. Awesome. So you can see how easy it is to create a multiple view layout. So thank you guys for watching. I so much appreciate your time for watching this lesson to the end. And please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like. And if you don't like the video, please hit the dislike button. Let me know about that. Thank you so much guys for watching. I so much appreciate your time once again. So please subscribe, share to your friends, and I will see you in the next video.